So I'm devising a plan. How can I get these gloves, sell them and make profit? What do I have that can help me? I realize I've got this brand new phone that my mom bought me. It was a huge sacrifice to have a phone. That for a parent to buy a phone, and we did. I decided I'll sell the phone.
Wow.
I'll go to these shops in town, sell the phone with the intention to come and buy it back.
Appetite for risk.
Come on. I'm going to play. But yeah, so I used to get a lot of beatings because my mom was not around.
Every patch of grass has the potential to become a skyscraper. All it needs to be put under construction. Welcome back to yet another epic episode of Under Construction SA. I'm your host, Thuso Motsomane. And if you have not clicked on that subscription button, please subscribe, please like and share. But today I'm not alone. I have a guest, Ntsikelelo Mabusela. He will be telling us about all he's about. Mr. Mabusela, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm alright. Still a bit tired, but I'm good.
Okay, good to have you. Welcome to Under Construction SA. So what we do usually, we don't introduce our guests. And they tell us what they're about, who they are. Yeah, and what are they doing, what they're currently busy with.
Yeah, so I don't know, where do you want me to start?
Start with what you do, then we'll go into where it's. Yeah, start with what you do.
Alright, cool. So yeah, I do a number of things. Only because I believe that we shouldn't limit ourselves, right? So, but the main thing I'm focusing on now is my construction business, which I started this year. This year September will be 11 years.
Okay.
So, so it's 10 years and 8 months.
Wow.
The business is 10 years and 8 months as we sit here now, 2026. So, yeah, that's the main thing I'm focusing on now. That's my primary thing. Obviously, second to that will be my digital marketing agency, which I started in 2018 as a result of my academic studies in tertiary. And then I just recently started a car wash. It's a cleaning business, but it's the first phase of it will be a car wash. So everything that needs to be cleaned, from car wash, sneaker care, window cleaning, solar panel cleaning. So that's what I'm going into as a third phase of my third business. Yeah, so, and then also then I'm still in training for ministry. So obviously this is not in no particular order, right? But I'm just focusing on what I'm doing right now. Yeah, so that's more or less what I'm doing. Obviously I'm a husband to my wife. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here. So I think that's more or less what I can share with you for now. Yeah, and then we can take it from there.
Interesting. So basically, guys, we're speaking to an entrepreneur. So I want you to take me back to your childhood now. Let's start there. Right now, we started at the end where we are right now. So we're gonna run it back to the beginning of all things. Where are you growing up? What's happening? What does your home smell like? Like, yeah, tell us, how does it smell like? Is it coffee in the morning? Is it makuinyam? Like, take us back to where it all began, and if there's anything that in early when you were young that said you're an entrepreneur, like, was what it said is sweet, or was there something like that happening?
Okay, sure. You took me back there. Yeah, my home has been. I grew up in Soweto, Protea North. A very, I'd say, middle class place, and I'm very grateful for that. That my parents were able to raise us in such a place, because I always think about where they stayed before they moved to Protea North, and I thought, sure, had I grown up in that area, my life would have been totally different. But yeah, so I grew up in Protea North. Was very fortunate to be raised by both my parents, my dad and my mom. I'm the last of 5. I'm the last born. So, yeah, I think how home was when I was growing up, very, very warm. I mean, my parents would usually have like some of our cousins come and stay with us, either because they came from out of the province and they had a place to stay. So my parents had a home that was open to people coming and staying over. They'd stay like a year or 2 years with us. So that's the type of home I grew up in. And my parents very supportive, as far as I can remember. I think that the most clearest memory I have of my dad, who's late now, passed away in 2020 due to COVID, was my dad taking me to primary school, grade 1. I'll never forget that. I think that's a memory I'll forever hold in my heart, because when he took me to school, I remember I didn't have a school bag. So, my dad being resourceful, I used, I remember it was a yellow ShopRite Checkers, ShopRite bag, and my books were in there. And I didn't have a belt. And my dad took one of his ties and he used it as a belt. So I remember those clearly. And I remember him taking me to school, him leaving me in my class, and the next thing was they showed me where to sit. So that memory is quite vivid for me. And I'm very grateful for that, because it's one memory that I'm always able to bounce back from, because that taught me that where you start really doesn't matter much, but it's what you do thereafter. So, and then in terms of my mom, maybe just a bit of my dad. My dad was in the education space. So my dad was these days you say headmaster, but he was a principal then. And so I grew up in a home that was strict to some degree, but also then my mom was the softer person who was able to bind everything together. So she was she was formerly a nurse. Obviously, she's on pension now, and yeah. So the memories that I have of her is just being there, cooking for us, just making sure that we have everything that we need. So she would usually work night shifts. So when I came back from school, I knew my mom would be leaving around 5, so I need to be home. And then when she'd leave, and then I'd sneak out and go and play. But yeah, so I used to get a lot of beatings because my mom was not around. So, but yeah, those are the memories that I have. And then my siblings, like I said, I'm the last of 5. I had 3 brothers. One is late, passed away in 97. And I've got a sister, my one and only sister who's in the middle. We've had a very interesting journey. Most of the things that I never got into that were negative in terms, I say negative because they're not good health-wise, drinking alcohol, smoking, that type of thing. I never really got into it because one of my brothers was a person who I'd watched over a long period of time. And so based on what I was observing, it taught me what not to do. And I grew up in that type of space. So as a result, most of the things that my friends would be doing when I was in high school, I wouldn't even do them because I had an example of where not to go. And yeah, so that's more or less it. And then my other brother, who's still alive, he's the one that's been an inspiration, one of the inspirations in my life, because he used to swim. He's a very good swimmer. He represents the province and represented the country, but he's hard of hearing, he's deaf. So he's the one who's shown me about overcoming limitations, that even if you may have some sort of limitation, you're still able to make it work regardless. And then my darling sister, also when I was moving to Durban, 09, due to my sporting background, there's a lot of things I never got to do intentionally because she had gone to KZN as well. And so a few things didn't go so well in her life. So I used that also as a learning experience to say, if I'm going there, I need to be extra vigilant, And so, yeah, that's more or less of my parents and my siblings. And, my brother passed away. He's the one that motivated me to play rugby because when he passed away, he was in matric. And so, yeah, these are the people that have been very critical in my life and crucial in my life. And yeah, I'm very grateful for it.
Only everything. I don't even know where to start in terms of, okay, well, what direction do we take? Because you speak about the different influences your siblings had on you. You speak about the resourcefulness of your father. You speak about the womanliness of your mother and, the openness of your home, where your home is open to everyone, which now gives me perspective on the person that you are. It makes sense because I have the privilege of knowing you personally, and I'm tempted to go ahead and ask something that I'm curious about, but because we still have time, guys, we still have time, so let's start where it all began, because you're an entrepreneur. Does anything when you were young, where does it take me back to that moment where you're like, I think I want to pursue this thing, I want to be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life? Because I can imagine your father is a teacher, is a headmaster, and back in the day, principal, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, they call it principal. Yeah. So back in the day, we didn't have much. Go to school, get married, buy a house. That's it. You're not dreaming beyond that. Where do you get the idea that, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur? Take me back to that day, how it felt, how was it?
Interestingly enough, just yesterday, I'd gone to see my mom, and I was telling her that, hey, do you remember that you used to do curtains for people? So my mom had a sewing machine, like she'd be getting orders. I mean, she's a nurse, she's working a circular job, but then when she comes back home on weekends, she's got a machine and people have placed orders and she's sewing curtains, right? So that's the one aspect. And then I said to her, but you also remember that when Anotata used to sell perfumes, right? And I was laughing about it because then I found myself, I mean, you would know, I was selling colognes. I thought it was my idea. Actually, when I thought about this,
wow.
Yeah. So this thing is in my DNA, right? Mm-hmm. And as far as business is concerned, but to take it one generation further or back, it's my grandparents were entrepreneurial, mm-hmm. right? So my paternal side of the family, we have livestock, cattle, sheep, and that's where my dad grew up in the Eastern Cape. And then my mom's side, funny enough, her dad, my grandfather, he also had his own sewing machine, but he was more in tailoring, like he would tailor people's clothes, and that's the perspective or the reference I have of business and being entrepreneurial. But for me to start, it wasn't inspired by it. Remember, I'm having this conversation with you in hindsight, mm-hmm. and it was sparked, I think, the question you asked reminded me that I was speaking to my mom yesterday, and that's why I'm recounting these things. But my first exposure to entrepreneurship, which I'm forever grateful for, is the second primary school that I moved to. So the first primary school I went to for lower primary, which was grade 1 to grade 4, was Flamingo Primary School in Lens, in Lenasia. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, my dad wasn't satisfied with a couple of things. So he took the leap, and next thing, my dad has put me in like a proper school. And I say proper in my opinion. Obviously, there are many better schools. He took me to Rosebank Primary School. And I get to Rosebank Primary School. Remember, my first day of school in grade 1, no bag, no belt.
Yeah.
But there's a solution. It's not that I'm not carrying anything. My dad found a solution. Cool. So now, grade 5, I'm moving to Rosebank Primary School. Guess what I don't have? I don't have proper school uniform.
Okay.
So the year before, one of my aunts, my sister's youngest sister, was getting married. So I don't know, it's not a flower boy. I know there's another word for it, but I was one of those young children who were carrying the flowers or whatever. And that's what I wore to school. So it was navy blue pants. The school uniform was navy blue pants, and a Chinese collar shirt and formal sharp toe shoes. And so that becomes now my second experience of getting into a new school, and I'm lacking. And what I mean by lacking, everyone in the school can see that. Like, I stand out. Like, that one doesn't have, because his uniform is different. So that's the school that exposed me to entrepreneurship. How? We used to have business days. Market day, they used to call them. So a couple of my friends and I in grade 6, we decided that we'll buy Marie biscuits. I don't know if you know Marie biscuits.
Yeah, no.
And then instead of selling stuff, we'd give people an opportunity to make more money. And so what we would do is we'd have 5 Marie biscuits, and we'd say, okay, to actually enter this competition, I mean, other people were selling muffins. We're like, nah, we're not going to go that route. If you can finish these 5 Marie biscuits in a minute, you'll double your money. Which means if you paid 5 rand, you can get 10 rand back. We knew it's impossible. We knew you can't, because...
Yeah, that's so smart. How are you thinking that in primary? That's so smart.
Marie biscuits dry out your saliva like your mouth. So we knew nobody. So as a result, that was never an achievement. So we made more money because we knew people would want to get more back, but we knew the system was rigged. So that kind of exposed me, right? But the next part of my entrepreneurial journey was when I was in grade 8. Grade 8, I'm at Sandown High School, and my mom has just bought me a phone, a Nokia 3330. To the phone at that time.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking through town, and winter has just started, and I'm seeing this guy selling gloves. I'm like, how much are the gloves? He says 5 rand for a pair. I'm like, what? 5 rand? It's 5 rand. I'm like, okay. Oh, will you be here tomorrow? He says, yeah. I said, okay, cool. So I'm devising a plan. How can I get these gloves, sell them, and make profit? What do I have that can help me? I realized I've got this brand new phone that my mom bought me. It was a huge sacrifice to have a phone, for a parent to buy your phone in grade 8. I decided I'll sell the phone.
Wow.
I'll go to these shops in town, sell the phone with the intention to come and buy it back.
Appetite for risk. Come on.
It actually hasn't stopped. It just become more. The appetite, the risk appetite has grown. So I make the decision right there. After school, I come back from school, find a shop, sell them the phone, give me the money. I don't tell my parents. I don't tell anybody.
Shucks.
Tomorrow morning, I'm out in town. I find this guy. I buy the gloves. Get stock. My plan is to sell them at school. Take gloves. Get to school. Hey, I'm selling gloves. Hey, how much? No, 10 rand, 15 rand. They're like, okay, no, we'll buy for 10 rand. Now, my biggest mistake was this. I allowed people to buy on credit. Because my plan was I'll make the profit, take the money, go buy the phone, and I'll have money and I'll buy more gloves. So because of giving people gloves on credit, when the money came back, it came back in drips and drabs. And that was one instance where I feel I experienced my first failure in business. But it taught me a lot, right? But obviously, subsequent to that, as I grew up, there are other things that were mistakes that I also learned from. But that's where my journey started. And that's what really inspired my journey. But also then in high school, I did very well in business economics, which also was a trigger to say, actually, this is something that you should do. So that's where the entrepreneurship spirit comes from, and what sparked it. Back from my grandparents to my parents to me trying things out. So it's quite interesting that also my eldest brother, he's very entrepreneurial as well. So I think, and I believe that's where we catch that spirit from, the pioneering spirit. Because even my dad, I always say my dad didn't have to come from the Eastern Cape, then come to Joburg, where he met my mom, and then him meeting my mom. Now we are here. In fact, if you don't mind, I'm talking about the pioneering spirit and how risking is something that, in hindsight, I'm now realizing is in the family. Right? Because of the livestock that my grandparents had, my dad tells the story that his dad didn't want him to go to school, like to tertiary. So his mom actually helped him out to devise a plan to say, look, we are going to say you're going to one of your aunts in Cape Town. But in actual fact, you're going to Joburg because you must study. Because my grandmother didn't want my dad to stay home with the livestock. Because my dad was the firstborn. Also, my mom is firstborn. But my grandmother didn't want my dad to stay in that environment. She wanted better for him. So they devised that plan. Cut the long story short, my dad is out the house. He lands in Joburg. And that's where he starts making ends meet, starts working at a bottle store, moves from a bottle store, he studies, and next thing he's a teacher, and then he grows in the career, and so he's a principal. And by the time he retires, he had moved into the Gauteng Department of Education as one of the inspectors. And so the trajectory has been there. But I'm talking about the element of risk, to say, look, I'm going to leave where I am to go to a place that I don't know, but I'm going to make it work. And my dad really made it work. He really made it. And I sit here and I feel very proud of having and being raised by such a dad, because there's a lot of things even now when I think about him, I'm like, he was a great man. He was a great man. So that's the story of the journey.
Of the journey of how it began, man. It's very interesting. I think I laugh and I chuckle at when you're so young in primary and you're robbing I'm sorry. Like how you think of that in primary, and then
I wasn't robbing them. I was making money.
I mean, entrepreneurship is
it's their hunger for more money that make me more money. It's
like gambling business.
Well, you're going there, but I was never exposed to gambling personally. So, but yeah,
no, I'm saying it's the same concept, because you are hunger from your greed. Most of the time is what gets you to get to this place. So, but what an amazing story. So now we get to a point where you are young, now you are old. How do you start your businesses and why? Was there frustration, and what happened around that? What triggered you to start a business and not go the formal route? Because I understand that as a young age you're selling and you had your first lesson and feeling, I want to write this thing. I let me leave it and maybe let me go to school. But how does the entrepreneurship start in terms of the business that you have now?
So I complete my matric in 2007. I touched on earlier about, my journey that I was in sports. So I played rugby in school, and I really wanted to play professional. So 07, I didn't apply to go to university because I really wanted to go to the Natal Sharks in Durban. One of my mates was going there, and so I think that's what pushed me to also want to go. And I didn't get accepted. My application didn't get accepted. I mean, other people get scouted to go, maybe at the rugby festivals, and then they get. But some of us had to apply because that's how really we wanted to play this. So 07, I don't get in, and then my parents are like, especially my mom, she's like, you can't just sit. So like, go apply even for a short course. And I'm like, Ma, I want to, but I can't because I really want to go to Durban. Fast track, there's a family friend, gets me to meet with some very influential people, and they asked to see my achievements in high school rugby related. I show my certificates, my trophies, whatever. And then they make contact with people in KZN. How? A week or two later, I get a call. I must come down for trials. Okay, good shot. So I go. There were about 100 of us. Of the 100, only 3 of us were taken. And that's how I got into the Sharks Academy. Now, we were forced to study you can't just play rugby and not study. I think it's good discipline to have to balance the two. I'm answering your question. So at the end of my studies in 2011, I then 2012 come back to Joburg and I try entering the corporate space. A few months and I feel this office thing is not working for me because I'm an outdoor person. I like to. That didn't work. Left corporate, and then 2013 met this, actually not in 2013. I met the one brother, and I say brother, I'll explain now. I met him in 2003, 2004 when we were commuting with the bus to school, and so I got to meet his brother. They're brothers, the Komalo brothers, and Vusi. And I worked with them in 2013. Worked for them rather. 2013, there was construction at the time, and the one time they take me down to a project in KZN. And it was at that point that the construction bug bit me. 2013. So I was with them 2013, 2014. 2015, I said to them, look, I'm thinking of starting my own thing. You know, I don't know if you guys will be able to help me. They're like, oh, if that's what you're going to do, we'll support you. Go ahead. I registered in this construction business, which I was talking about earlier on. So it was the volunteering, helping in what somebody else is doing that I stumbled upon what I'm doing now, right? Which is the construction business. And like I said, it's the primary thing that I'm doing. So that's how I got to be where I am now. Since 2015 then, which is a bit of a break, 2016, 2017, really started focusing a lot on it 2018, 2019. That's why I was able to start the second business, because I was just not afraid to start anymore. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Now I guess we're going to focus on the construction company. What is your first building project looking like? What were you doing?
It wasn't really building. It was more renovations, rather repairs and maintenance. It was at home.
Your mother's house?
My parents' house.
Okay, your parents' house.
Yes. 2017, I'm working. I'm getting good money. I'm earning by the week. It was a JMPD tender gotten by the company, and just good money. I mean, I had to work triple shifts. Like I'd work in the morning, join the evening team, and still work with the guys that are coming in tomorrow. So it's good money. So I was like to my parents, look, I want to do something at home, but I want to start off with this project, which was the bathroom, the visitor's bathroom. So at home, there's two bathrooms. There's the ensuite that my parents have in their bedroom, and then the other bathroom for us. So I've got the money most. So I'm like, I'm doing this thing. So I speak to my parents. I mean, they don't really say yay, but they're like, so I start. It's me, get guys to come in and take off the tiles, remove the toilet, remove the bathtub. So as I'm busy, the job comes to an end. I've got money. So instead of starting, I try and reroute to make money to cover for what I've planned. Do you know from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, which is the biggest regret of my life? The visitor's bathroom at home was not being used by anyone because it was not functional. So you can imagine people who are coming to visit at home, even if it's a day visit, they can't use the bathroom. So guess where they have to go?
Your parents' room.
Can you imagine?
Shucks.
So now everybody, and my dad says, I'm not going to fix that thing. They had the capacity, but they said, we will not fix it. I'm not sure, Ntsikelelo, you started it.
Finish.
You must finish it. Now, it's a regret for me because of the lack of planning at that time. But it's also a good lesson for me from my dad that he didn't help me to fix it, because squarely in the face, that thing was something I needed to deal with. very grateful to have Christian friends. In 2020, I speak to one of our friends, Moshe Rafold, and I tell him, hey, because my friends knew about the project. They're like, hey, man, you need to fix that thing. So 2020, I'm working. 2019, 2020, I'm working. I tell my friend, hey, man, Moshe, I'm thinking of fixing because I have to fix, but now I don't know if I should do this in phases. And Moshe says to me, hey, man, don't do that phase thing. You have the money, just do it all at once. COVID had just started. Fortunately for me, I start. Godly friends. I start the project, is ongoing. I completed that project on the 4th of July.
That's my birthday.
That's when my dad passed away. So the project was completed around 10-11 a.m. July the 4th on a Saturday. And my dad passes away around 10-11 p.m. the same day. So obviously everybody was ecstatic that I finished. But I was not there when my dad made a comment because I'd gone out with friends in the afternoon. And my sister says, just before my dad went to bed, he actually came to the bathroom and he looked at it and he was so happy that this project was completed. And little did I know that should be the last day that he gets to see it. But I think for me, what was something that encouraged me when he passed was that his house was fixed. So that was my first project. It was at home. And obviously I eventually did finish it. But obviously subsequent to that one, there were others, repairs and maintenance in one of the nursery schools around home, fixing toilets and painting and things like that. So yeah, that's where I started with the construction.
Wow. There's so much I want to go into, especially when you speak about your parents, your failures, but maybe let me start off with asking this question, especially because it was your first time building. What are some of the mistakes people who build, like first time home builders or who start a project, I don't know, like they want to build, what are some of the mistakes that you've noticed that they make? And how do you think they can overcome them? Or avoid, rather.
The first major thing I'm observing is, depending on what type of client you are, but people don't do their due diligence in as far as compliance is concerned. So if you're looking, to start a building project, obviously you'll have to do your plans, get them approved, got the architect to help you approve them with the municipal building council office. Then from then on, actually, let me backtrack. People will do plans. So let's say you want to build. You get an architect, they come in, you tell them what you want, they design, and they finalize, they get council to approve. But there's a missing link there. The missing link is that, and I'm not speaking for all architects, it might not be all of them, but at least with the experiences I've had, is you can't specify a foundation of a house if you haven't done a geotechnical report, which is testing the type of soil you're going to be building on. Because the type of soil you're building on determines the foundation that you specify. So you'll find that it's a normal standard design of a foundation, a strip foundation. And when so what then happens is I can't build if the tech report is not there, the geotech report is not there, which means now it has to be conducted. Let's say the result comes back and the soil type is not the soil type that must be used for strip foundation. You're supposed to use a raft foundation. Now, the cost difference of a strip foundation raft is huge. So you can imagine you've budgeted, just for ease of calculation, you've budgeted R1 million. And the architect maybe said, look, you're probably going to spend around that million. Then you get the result and you find that the price is much more. much more because of. So I'm finding that's the first thing people don't do. If you're going to plan to build a house, check the soil. Get the architect to check the soil so that they specify the proper foundation. But secondly is finding out if the contractor is registered with the correct bodies, the regulatory bodies. The major one for home builders is the NHBRC. And that then protects you as the homeowner, that whichever contractor is building for you, if there are ever any issues with the building a year, 2, 3, 5 years, I mean, there are a few things that NHBRC will be accountable for in terms of fixing. But the owner will then find the contractor who built. If they can't locate them, they can go to the NHBRC. The NHBRC then will, because it acts as an insurance for your home, they'll then be able to dispatch a contractor who will come and do the remedial work on your property. So those are I would say the major things that people need to do outside of budgeting. Obviously, you need to check if your budget allows, or your costing is fine. I mean, it's totally up to you, depending on what your contractor offers you. Then you go with that. But these ones are the most critical thing. Compliance, companies registered. I mean, simple things like you can't have a contractor who you're paying the business costs and you're paying it to his personal account. That's a red flag. So, but those are just like very entry level stuff which matter the most in a construction project. So clients need to make sure they check those things.
Oh, I'm saying Bazalwane. Not a church here, but a podcast. So, oh, shucks. I think speaking about people spending millions and speaking about how, how you built the first thing and the conversation around the first time home owners. I want to take it a bit deeper. I wanted to ask him how much is he making, but I can't. He won't tell me. I know he's making money, but I think what are some of the achievements? What are some of the biggest projects that you've built as a company? And maybe tell the people what the name of your company is, because we didn't go into it. I thought you'd say it when I asked you how does it start.
Oh, okay. No, well, the name is Elendopa Trading and Projects. And one person asked me, is that Greek? I'm like, why would you think it's Greek? But so how I came up with the name, so the company, I thought of something that would outlive me. Right. So the name in itself is created by taking the names of my nieces and my nephew. So what I did, I took the last 3 letters of their names. So Ubanele at the end is ELE, so I used that as the 3 letters. Then NDO Tando. So and then Pa is from Nandi Pa. So she says her name is not Nandi Pa, it's Nandi. But anyway, so that's how I came up with the name.
She's watching.
So that's how I came up with the name. So, so my first biggest, and I say biggest, was over. The amount was 849,000. So let's do the calculation. 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23. So it took me 8 years to make my first million as a company, first million rands. So obviously this project, 849, combined with other projects doing, then I hit my first million in that year. So that was my first. That was a project in Soweto, the Naledi Clinic. I was subcontracted there to do ceilings, to install. It's a brand new clinic. The client there was the JDA, Johannesburg Development Agency, and I was then subcontracted under a company called GVK. So got appointed, then did my work, completed that. Even though the very harsh lessons I learned through that project, because I lost about 300,000. So this is outside of the 849, right? So the contract value was 849. I was paid that value, but there was over expenditure because of delays that are happening on site and funds I was supposed to claim back, which never came back. So you see a contradiction there. First biggest, I'm happy, but also the first biggest loss, right? So I think I learned that growth comes with challenge. And obviously, financial management is a different thing altogether, right? And I'm not saying that that happens every time people have that experience, but I'm just trying to highlight that when you get a big achievement, sometimes there's an opposing factor to say, okay, you've won something, but you kind of lose something. So that also was a big thing for me. And I think that was my first biggest project that I did. And from then on, I just started climbing. I started climbing. I think a couple of projects that stand out for me was one that I did in the east of Joburg. That project was fixing a property that I think the homeowner, an accident had happened, a motor vehicle had come into the house, and so we're fixing that. So that became one of the biggest in as far as a home is concerned, fixing a damaged property where people are not staying. So that's what I mean. I'm building now in Waterfall now for a client. Started that project, demolished the property on the 1st of June 2025, started construction on the 1st of October. So I'm scheduled, there are also delays due to plan changes, but I'm hoping that by end of September I should be done completely with the project. Handover is a turnkey project, which means from foundation to finishes. The company is doing all that. So it's a full-on project. There are others that I'm looking at, obviously I can't talk about here because I can't mention people's names. But that's where I'm at. So the company is definitely climbing by the grace of God. And I'm just happy that I'm having a lot of people coming in to assist now, and as far as professionals are involved. So that's what I've been doing.
Oh, that's an amazing story, man. You spoke about your first win, but also at the same time it's like a first failure, right? How did you in your life overcome painful experiences and obstacles like that? What do you do to overcome such setbacks?
To be quite honest with you, Thuso, I don't know how to explain it. I've just got this ability to bounce back from things like bad things. I say I don't know, but deep down I know that God gives that ability. But the one experience I had in my life happened in 2016. And it was a relational issue, right? Where a certain relationship was supposed to go a certain way, but it didn't. And I remember when I came back home, because I'd gone to the west of Africa to go study, and I'd come back because of something that happened. And I remember my mom saying these words, because I never told my parents what actually happened. To this day, I've never told them. I mean, they can only suspect, but because for me, I just don't like revealing evil that people do, So the one day my mom says to me, "Ntsikelelo," and I was like at my lowest. This is after this whole experience. And my mom says, "Indoda iphela amandla." I mean, those words. Wow. I'm telling you, I always remember those words when I go through a hard time. And those words coming from my mom without her even knowing what happened. I mean, she's a parent, so she kind of had an idea. But just those words, they continue to minister to me even today. That when I experience a setback, indoda, iphela amandla. Yeah. So so that's how I bounced back. Now, I'm not leaving out the factor, please, of, I mean, you know me as a friend. Definitely God is involved in it, right? He gives the ability and the strength. But I'm just talking from a human perspective, that those are the things that speak to me when I experience setbacks.
I can imagine when you're going through it, it's like the voice of your mom comes through, and you remember that, you know what my mom once said. So that's how powerful words are, right? And even speaking about words, like as we go into to finish this episode, what are some of the influences that are on you as a businessman, as a husband, and as a human being that contribute to your growth? What are some of the people that you look up to, and why, in just a few minutes?
There's a couple of them. It's not actually one, and I suppose it should be for most people. And I've told you this before. And I'm not even buying face, right? Because I've told you. Not that.
Yeah.
But for you to leave home where you come from.
Wow.
And to come here.
Wow.
And to do what you're doing.
Wow.
There are people who are here who have not thought, maybe they've thought about, they haven't started. So, and obviously I get to experience what you're going through in terms of your journey. And that becomes motivation. I'm talking about motivation first in a very closed up setting, like inner circle, because that matters a lot. Because if people are winning in your inner circle, then you can see that I can actually achieve something that I want as well. So it becomes motivation. So I'm starting there because I want to start with something that's very close to home. To say, I mean, you started this, you stopped it.
You know, I thought you had given up.
Yeah. So, you wanted to. I was like, how do you want to do that? So, and I mean, there's content you can't retrieve now.
And you advised me to say, no, bro, do this. I didn't listen. Hey.
So, but that's the first, right? But from a mentorship perspective, I've got a different view about people who mentor. Yes, you can have people who mentor you from a relational perspective, but sometimes somebody can mentor you without them knowing they're mentoring you. And what I mean by that is you just use them as a reference point that you learn from them, because maybe not that you never speak to them, but they're in a far distance. So, but before I go there, my biggest mentors that I've learned from are my biological parents. I've just seen them navigate through things in and out. So that's the first biggest reference point for me. And it really encourages me because I've seen how they used to solve problems. And to this day, I know that there's nothing that can't be resolved. It may take some time, but it can be resolved. One of the family gifts that run within my family is the gift of leadership. I don't remember ever in my life fighting to be a leader, fighting to be noticed. Even in my rugby days, never. But I'll always be finding myself in spaces where people will nominate me or will choose me to lead, or I find myself just rising up and leading. And that is something I take from my dad. And that's why I'm saying he's the biggest influence, biggest mentor for me. But second to that is our own very pastor, Bishop Mosasono. I'm not saying there aren't any, definitely there are. But I'm very blessed to be able to be led by a person who is able to navigate through what our country has gone through. And we stand today and we're like, we can do something. Like, as somebody who is raised in Soweto, you have the ability to do great things that you can't even imagine. So that's one other person. But another person then who I follow from a distance is the gentleman called by the name Teto Nyati, who wrote the book Betting on a Ducky. Oh man,
it's the Eskom guy.
Yes.
I was listening to an interview he did and saw the president gave them. Yeah,
I think. And how I got to know him was because he used to work for a company my wife used to work for. And my wife told me, hey, this man, and he was telling me the stories, you know. So I remember telling a friend when he moved to ESCOM, I said, watch ESCOM is going to have a change. Like, it won't happen. This person failed.
No, you told us. You told us. Yes, I remember. Yes. I remember you told us. It's like ESCOM, and at the time I won't lie. It was like, I didn't say anything, but we like the corruption in the country, and now we're here, right?
Imagine
2 years.
I don't even know the person on a personal level.
But
of his works, I know.
Yeah,
and that's one person who, and I mean, when you listen to me, when you hear his story, he has an engineering background. So also that speaks to how his mind works, right? That if there's a problem, it must be solved. I mean, the one thing that I learned about him, that my wife told me, is that if he's been appointed for a period of 5 years to solve the problem, and he solves the problem in 2 years, he does not see the need why he must stay for the rest of the term. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, that is something I really want to be able to do. You know, I mean, I do that at a very low level, that when there's a problem, my brain will wire to fix it. And I think slowly with the books I'm reading, I'm trying to glean from that to say, okay, I wonder how this person thinks. Mm. So those are the people that I think motivate me and have been mentors to me, outside of Vusi Kumalo and Anda Kumalo, who through tough situations, they've managed to still keep their head above the water, and they're still in business, right? Obviously, I know more things about what they do, but they're a source of inspiration and a level of mentorship that they give to me. So yeah, those are more or less the people that, I mean, there's more, but you said in closing, so
yeah, we got it close. I won't lie, caught me off guard there by mentioning me. I didn't see that coming, but because I'm humbled. I'm humbled by that. In closing, 2 things I want to ask you to do. Firstly, speak to your future self. Like, you look in the camera and speak to your future self. I don't know what you're going to say to your future self.
Self, what do you want to say to self?
10 years you're going to watch this. Think about it. In the next 10 years. You are looking at this as your 10-year-old self.
I'd say to my future self, or I'm saying to my future self, there's more mountains. There are more mountains to climb.
Wow.
Yeah, there are more mountains to climb. So forget about what is behind. There's more mountains to climb. I think that's what I would tell my future self.
Wow. So I think lastly, I want you to speak to the people that are watching. Maybe it's a family. Maybe someone is watching through their phone, their laptops. And maybe because I know you influence a lot of young people. You influence us as your friends. The older generation, I know for definitely, because you just have a way of saying things and doing things that when we look at you, like, wow. Hence, when you mentioned me, I didn't expect it. And it's funny because I remember very well the first day I met you. We were at camp. This was 2010. You are what we call my cabin leader. So a cabin leader, guys, for lack of a better word, I don't know. I'm trying to explain so that you guys understand. It's like at a camp, it's a youth camp here. So you have the youth pastor, you had the overseer who oversees the cabin, which means anyone that's in the room, there's an overseer for that. And then you had cabin leaders who are responsible for the small groups within that room. And he was one. And I remember how fun and funny you were. And we were doing
funny.
No, I'm just saying, I'm taking it. So we had a water leak. Like, we had a bucket, and we had to take it over, and it was to make sure that we fill whatever. You then took a chappies, you put it under. I was like, wow, this is my first time as a crew. By the way, my first camp, I was 14. And you were making jokes, we were laughing. Like, my whole camp experience and how I saw God and Christianity changed because of. And I remember because we had different stations as teams, right? Because we're competing against one another. Whenever we got there, you'd make a joke. Like, it was, like, Christianity is not a serious thing. It's not. So I say that because it's one of those pivotal, something that I'll never forget. I even remember when you were writing letters for us, how you were laughing and smiling. I just didn't know you were writing letters for us because you slept, like, I think you were on top and I was on the side bed. Kutu was on top of me and I was there. So I'm watching you laugh and you had that, for lack of a better, that evil smiling and like, I don't know how to call it, but it was just that naughty smile. Like, yeah, and you were writing letters for us, which I think since that first camp, today I wouldn't be the Christian I am had I not experienced, because people package God as this serious, you can have fun, like this narrow-mindedness, but you can actually have fun as a Christian. You can actually be yourself, personality and stuff like that. But now I'm speaking about myself. To just the people that are watching that you inspire, what would you say to them?
The first thing that I would say is, regardless of the situations or background that you have, I highly recommend that you choose God, that you choose Jesus Christ, and that you follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. Because doing that fast tracks things. And I say fast track, not in a sense that, sometimes God will give you a shorter route to achieve something. But having God on your side, or being in God, helps with redeeming time, right? So what would have spent you 5 years to do, God will be able to give you the wisdom to solve whatever thing that you want to get, or bring people around you to help you get you on course. Just to give an example, when I talk about redeeming time, is if you choose not to choose God, right? It's fine. It could be a choice that you make, and I say it's fine because we are all allowed to choose what we want. But consider this example. You can take a bus from Johannesburg to Cape Town, right? You'll spend about 19 hours or so on the bus. And that's an analogy of going by yourself, right? But if you're to choose God, the redeeming time aspect I'm talking about is you would take a plane instead of a bus. Now, flying from Joburg to Cape Town, if I remember correctly, is about 2 hours. So you'll see the big difference of, we are going to the same destination, but the plane helps you to redeem time. And so that's how the example I'm giving is driving the point that choose God, because God is able to help you to achieve certain things in a quicker way without violating certain principles. But secondly, I'd say to everyone, it's okay to start where you are. Don't be afraid. You may not have the information to do, or the knowledge to do what you need to do, but as long as you have the desire, there's a scripture in the book of Proverbs that says the rich and the poor have this in common, that God gives both of them light, or gives light to both their eyes. And the word light there talks about vision, and the vision is what God has placed in your heart, that thing that will not leave you, that thing that you're constantly thinking about. Pursue that thing, right? Pursue that thing, trust God, and the people who need to help you, they'll find a way to come around you. You don't even know how, and you don't need to know how. You just need to start. And as you start, you'll see God shifting things and people coming together to help you achieve what you need to do. So that's all I'd like to encourage you about. And I think that's what I wanted to say to your viewers.
Thank you very much for coming through and availing yourself and making time. Don't take it for granted, because you could be busy with a lot of things. You have businesses.
Oh, I'm busy here.
Yeah. But thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to the viewers, first of all, I want to say thank you to Ntate Mabusela and Mabusela, to the siblings, to the friends, because here today we learn about this man is a product of this community, that who you choose to be part of your journey, and even sometimes, even if you don't come from the brightest of family, you can learn what not to do. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another good episode of Under Construction SA. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's been good.